Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Harakah Kadash. Double honors to apostles and elders of Great Most on a real while, and Shalom to the brothers doing the work, sharing truth. Interesting little article here. It's on the Kansas City Star. It says what Missourians could soon pay with gold and silver after lawmakers approve odd bill. So they've basically just had a bill passed, which, if it's signed into law, could then allow you to pay with gold and silver if people accept it in the state of Missouri, which, seems interesting. But now I was reading through, so I read from the top. It says shoppers in Kansas City and across Missouri could soon be able to pay their groceries and pay taxes with gold and silver. Missouri lawmakers this week, in a move that surprised some, approved a controversial bill that would make gold and silver legal tender in the state. The legislation, which passed both chambers at the General Assembly as an amendment to a sweeping finance-related bill, is headed to Republican Governor Mike Cahoe's desk. The Republican-led legislation would require state government entities to accept electronic versions of gold and silver called electronic specie currency. Or specie currency? I don't know. But that just seemed interesting to me because it's strange to have it, what do you call it? To have, basically have what's it called? Gold and silver supposedly coming back. But then, the way it's actually going to be used is as electronic currency. So then that just makes me think this could be more of a law being passed, being used more to get to the MOTB more than anything else. Because as far as gold and silver is tender. You'd normally think it'd be the physical form, but I think they even say further down. So it says one prominent Democrat, right down at the bottom. It says one prominent Democrat, former Senate Minority Leader John Rizzo from Independence, previously called the idea absurd and questioned how it would work in practice, particularly if a shopper paid with gold and wanted their change back. So when I go to the gas station and buy a 20-ounce Coke, and I'd say, here's my gold, are they going to give me money back in gold? Rizzo told the Star in 2023. When asked about this at the Capitol this week, Hardwick said the bill would allow for a new market for electronic and paper methods of payment with gold and silver. With the paper methods, change would still exist like current money does, he said. So there'll be a paper version as well, so it'd be like the old gold-backed bills, is what they're saying. But then as well, because there'll be the electronic one, I then just wonder: is it really just laying groundwork? Would it just be something used to lay groundwork for the MOTB really? Because as far as with accepting gold, that's something that. And even if they did bring it back, it's only in one state, and it's not going to be a big deal. But then it comes, and as far as we know they're pushing for that mark. That's the key thing that they're looking to get in. And then with the this getting passed, it comes tied up with the hell is it called, man? With the electronic version, and it said approved a controversial bill that make gold and silver legal tender in the state. The legislation, which passed both chambers of the General Assembly as an amendment to a sweeping finance-related bill, is headed to Republican governor. So it's a sweeping finance-related bill. And I think they said as well, Yeah, so it says the full text of the bill was still not available online on Wednesday, more than 24 hours after passing through the General Assembly. However, the amendment reviewed by the Star would require the Missouri Department of Revenue to craft rules on how to implement the law after it would take effect in August if signed by Cahoe. So it's something that is part of a bigger bill and as a general finance bill, and there's more to it. So I'm just looking at it, it seems like there could be more going on with it anyway, as far as, and then with the electronic gold payments, you might have other forms of of payment being brought in as well. And then it could be something where they're just building a framework that obviously, electronic framework, system framework, that then when you go to the, the MOTB, then it switches tracks essentially, and then it'll be using that because everyone's scoffing at it and saying like, how's it gonna be utilized? And as far as for gold, how many people are really gonna? Most people that are sitting on gold are sitting on gold. They're not really. They're holding it as a hedge. They're holding it as a form of covering for themselves, form of protection. They're not really going to be using it in their day to day, even though it becomes legal tender in the state. I think they still wouldn't. So it'll be interesting to see anyway. Because they're talking about implementation. It'll be interesting to see, what the electronic system is, and then what else is being passed through with it. Because that could just be the main thing taking the shine. Because the guy made the comment in 2023, so it's been spoken about for like 2 years, and it's something where you wouldn't even be able to, like they said, you can't see the full the full, what do you call it, the full bill. So they don't know what the fullness of the scope and the scale of it is. And that's and that's the thing as well, is Trump's been big on crypto. Trump's he's been pushing a lot of those electronic systems heavy. And then when his inauguration was going through, what was the deal with it? It was all the tech, all the heads of the big tech firms were there. They were the ones there standing next to him. Because why? That's the realm they're moving into, where it's all electronic. It's all going into that beast system. All these different arenas and areas of of how people can maneuver and whatnot are all being trimmed down to where it's just gonna be what do you call it? Being trimmed down to where it's what do you call it? It's just gonna be those core big government-wide, country-wide scale, businesses, and it's all gonna have framework, through the B system, through technology. That's gonna be the core of how these things are gonna come together. Because what does it say? Ecclesiasticus 12:10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. So yeah, people might look at it like, oh, they're bringing gold back. Oh, it's going to be for the good of the people and, for liberty and greatness. And we actually have money that holds a form of what do you call it? Of worth in the long term. But, the reality of it is there's something more nefarious behind it. And that's just how Esau gets down in general, man. As far as with these systems, especially with legislation, that's one of the key ways by which, he pushes his desires, his agendas. Then, it lines up to where it's like, okay, there's certainly more going on. So that says what set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place, neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And now at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. Yeah. So, this is a guy you're not meant to trust, you're not meant to keep close. Because these things, when they're passing, it might seem like one thing, but lo and behold, it's not. There's more going on. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom.